All right, what up, man? Listen, if you can hear me, please, somebody hit the like button. Put a one in the comment section if you can hear me clearly. I got a subject that I want to get into tonight, and it's going to piss some people off. So go ahead and let you know that up front. It's going to piss some people off, but I think that right or wrong, I'm gonna start this conversation because I feel, and again, this is my feelings, that a lot more could be done if we can stop a huge portion of the black population in Georgetown County from screaming racism about every little thing. And I'm talking about everything is not racism. You know what I mean? And I'm going to prove that to you tonight that there was a court case filed, excuse me, there was a lawsuit that was recently dismissed in federal court out of Georgetown County claiming gentrification. And we going take just, I'm going to take time tonight and I'm going to go through this lawsuit. Okay. I've already read through it, but I want to point some things out to you. I want to go through it with you guys because that's what I'm noticing in Georgetown County, that you got a certain segment of some of these older people that are really clogging the system up, and really a hindrance to real progress happening, real things being addressed because they feel slighted somehow by race or somehow, you know what I mean? And again, everything is not racism. Sometimes accountability comes into factor into these things. And again, we keep flooding the media like the little boy that cries wolf. You know what I mean? It's just the Jussie Smollett effect over and over and over. If you go look at the number of race-based lawsuits against Georgetown County, the city of Georgetown, any of these places, and you tell me what the win-loss ratio is as far as the plaintiff, the person who files these claims, and the person that pays out, and also find out how many of these claims get thrown out. Again, this is this type of stuff that is pushed to the front, and I think it's systematically pushed to the front because it's a good waste of time. You know what I mean? And so we don't really have to address the real problems, but we can address these frivolous lawsuits that are being filed by these people and claiming racism and putting a whole lot of black people in, like it's just, this and that. And I tell you, man, documentation always beats conversation. Again, if you are not following me, make sure you do that. Hit that follow button. Make sure you follow my page on Welcome to Angels, the podcast. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers so we can really expand that page. So if you are, following, please, and hit the like button, hit the share button. It's a shame sometimes people, come and tell me and they be like, man, I really like that show that you did. Well, yeah, and there's some good information. Yeah, man, that's some good information. So why in the hell you ain't share it? That's the problem. We'll share some bullshit, but when it comes to good information, we kind of slow to share that. You know what I mean? You don't want nobody to know you like good information. Okay, again, tonight we're gonna get into it. And to them folks in Georgetown, the city of Georgetown, the black folks in Georgetown, this one on y'all right here now. This one on y'all. Okay. And so a lawsuit was filed, and again, documentation beats conversation every day. Okay. And remember what I said, everything is not, thank you for that like. Everything is not racism. It's just not. Okay. It's just not. And in a lot of cases, if it is, so what? So what? It's too much self-loathing going on, too much self-pity. You know what I mean? It's my fault. Oh, I started smoking crack, and now the community won't do nothing for you. It ain't the damn community. All that fun you was having smoking that dope, stealing, doing whatever you was doing, go back and do that. It's nobody's responsibility. That's freedom. You know, but we all getting lumped into this one big, oh, I'm a victim pile. But boy, sometimes it ain't what you think it is. Let's get into this right here. All right. Again, if you're just getting in here, man, listen, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you've been listening for a minute, you haven't hit the share button or hit the like button, leave. I mean, I don't know why you're here. We need to get more people here to understand what's going on. Okay. On March 17th, the town of Andrews is going to court for a real lawsuit, for a real purpose. Okay. For the town hall, for a town hall. And everybody want to make the town hall, when I say everybody, I'm talking about the council members, those that did engage me. They want to make it about, about Frank McClary. What about the people of the town of Andrews? What about that group? What about the fact that $41 million was collected and you people have a problem distributing to the taxpayers who contributed to that $41 million in Andrews, South Carolina, the town of Andrews, South Carolina, to finish a town hall building? But it's because we got these kind of lawsuits that's making it to court, and these people slapping it down, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to all of us. All right, let's get into it. In the United States District Court, District of South Carolina, Charleston Division, okay, this is a lawsuit brought by Tony Vanderhoss, Evelyn McCrae, and Willie Singleton. And let me say this right now, okay? If you got, because I'm going to say some things about those people, because those people are named in the lawsuit. So if it's your family member, your cousin, and you feel like, oh, I'm going to be offended, log off now. That's why, yeah, this one might go left in a little bit. I'm just going ahead and warn you now, because this. All right. Again, Tony Vanderhoss, Evelyn McCrae, and Willie Singleton are the plaintiffs in this against the city of Georgetown, right? And so let's go through this right here so everybody can see it in black and white and see how stupid some people can be in wasting time and just. Before the court is defendant's motion for summary judgment. Plaintiffs filed a response and defendant replied. For the reasons set forth below, the court grants defendant's motion for summary judgment, defendant being Georgetown County. Okay. And so here we go. Factual background. Facts matter, right? Facts actually matter. Plaintiffs. All city of Georgetown property owners allege the city's enforcement. So that's why I say if you own property in Georgetown, you named in this retarded lawsuit that was shot down like it should have been. Property owners allege that the city's enforcement of its building codes in the West End, and that's that end that's always coming up, and it's the end always coming up. West End section of town was designed specifically to target the poor with smaller lots, with the intent to eliminate all trailers on the West End in their gentrification, I guess there being Georgetown County, gentrification scheme to improve the city and eliminate the poor community. Okay? That is a statement, and that is a rather stupid statement, right? Because how do you prove that? Do you have videotapes of the meetings where they were plotting to do this right here? Or is all of this in your mind? Facts matter. Plaintiffs further allege that the city has decided, okay, and how do you know that the city decided this? That in order to eliminate the poor neighborhoods, they are going to fine the individuals. So they're just going to randomly fine you for no reason, right? That's what you're alleging. Fail to provide permits, so that you're saying that they don't provide you permits, seek expensive requirements, thereby making it impossible for them to afford to upgrade their property or repair their properties. Now, that last statement gets more to the subject, okay? But it was slid in there, you know what I mean? Again, where is racism at in this? You can tell me what white people planning to do without showing me a video, without showing me some documentation where they said they was going to do this. This is what you take to court? We just in the first bar. This is sad. Plaintiffs have asserted causes of action for excessive fines under the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution. That's why you should read the damn Constitution. That's why you should have a copy of it on your refrigerator, somewhere near to you. But if you want to follow this fool wake propaganda, oh, America, this and that, don't know the law, because ignorance to the law is no excuse. Denial of equal protection, malicious prosecution, and unlawful seizure and taking of property. Because that's what gentrification do. Plaintiff Vanderhorst moved modular unit onto a lot he owned in the city without first obtaining permits required under city ordinance. Y'all in the way. If you don't want to do things the right way, this is going to happen to you. And then you're going to complain, it's racism. No, it's you not doing what the hell you're supposed to do. That's what I'm seeing here in these court documents. To obtain a building permit, plaintiff Vanderhorst was required to submit drawings and specifications to clearly show the nature and character of the work that were prepared and sealed by an architect or engineer. You gotta pay the cost to be the boss. A stop work order was issued by the city to plaintiff Vanderhorst relating to his failure to obtain a building permit. Now tell me where racism comes in yet. And when he violated the stop work order, a citation was issued, as it should have been. Plaintiff Vanderhorst contested the citation and was found to be in violation of the ordinance after a trial. Okay, so he exhausted all of his constitutional rights. And after he went through that process, let's see what happened here. He did not file an appeal. Moreover, plaintiff Vanderhorst admitted in his deposition that he failed to obtain a building permit before bringing the modular units into the city. Please tell me where we're wrong so far. Please tell me where the racism is kicking in at already. Now, I bet you he has an answer as to why he thought he could bring those things into town, into the city. And this is the problem when you do not, and I'm talking about the greater majority of people, do not involve yourself in what's going on up there at City Hall. You don't go to the meetings. You don't know what ordinances is being passed. You don't know anything. Had the same thing happening in Andrews at the last town hall meeting, where through bad information, you know, we will stand in the way of our own progress. We will be our own problem. We good at that. Plaintiff Vanderhorst alleged that he was subjected to discriminatory treatment because two other modular units owned by white persons were moved into the city without drawings sealed by engineers. Of course, he has proof of this. The city provided uncontested evidence, however, comma, that both of the modular units identified by plaintiff Vanderhorst as receiving preferential treatment submitted drawings sealed by an engineer before building permits were issued. This made it all the way to in front of a judge. Plaintiff McCray asserts that she was subjected to unfair requirements by city inspectors concerning rental property she owned after a former tenant filed a complaint. Plaintiff McCray complained that city officials complained to city officials that the tenant had created the unsafe conditions because he did not want to pay his rent. Now tell me, is that the court's problem or is that her problem? How many of y'all renting for somebody that somebody like this? Embarrassing. This is what this is. Foolishness. This is foolishness. This is the real foolishness that stop us back. This is why real cases of racism, real cases of systemic racism get ignored because of foolishness like this. Pure foolishness. And I think we just on page 2. Or page 3, excuse me. Plaintiff McCray further contended the city's requirement that drawings sealed by an engineer were necessary before repairs could be approved was not mandated by law and was excessive and costly. You have a rental property. So you want to hire a jackleg to go up there and fix it up. And it's racism, the claim. Gentrification, as a matter of fact. I posted it a while back and I stand by it again. Thank goodness for gentrification because we're not going to fix it up. The record before the court includes a letter to Plaintiff McCray from the city's Housing and Community Development Office, dated January 23rd, which described the results of an inspection of her rental property by a city building official. The inspector described what he found. And let's see why she wasn't getting her rent. Upon entry, that means when he walked in the door, I noticed a hole in the roof in the living room area. Below the hole in the roof was a plastic trash can. I then walked to the bedroom to the right of the front door. In the bedroom was another hole in the roof with a trash can below it. The trash can was full of water. I noticed the ceiling framing in this section of the home had rot damage from being exposed to moisture. I then moved to the back left bedroom where the electric panel was located. It appeared the electric panel was newer and had been replaced. This work was not permitted or inspected per our records, putting people's lives in danger. But it's racism. The tenant then stated that one side of the mobile home had power and the other side did not. Based on the condition of the mobile home, the electrical work being installed without permit or inspection, this is considered an unsafe structure. A placard was placed on the mobile home, marking it as unsafe. Power to the mobile home will be removed on the morning of January 24th, 2023 because of racism. Power will not be restored until the mobile home is made safe for human habitation. The inspector's letter ended by identifying 3 specific provisions of the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code that were violated by the conditions found during the inspection. Plaintiff McCrae offered no evidence contesting these serious building code violations. Plaintiff Singleton asserts a claim of malicious prosecution because he was issued citations for bringing modular units into the city without obtaining building permits, and the charges were dismissed in 2023. Plaintiff Singleton alleges that the citations by the city were used as a measure of enforcing gentrification. You got to prove that. That's not a provable. I think people think statements, just because you make a statement. This is what ties these courts up. This is why real serious allegations of racism don't get heard because of frivolous crap like this. The city forcing gentrification of property in the West End. And what are people doing about it in the West End? Just saying, oh, they gentrifying us? Or what are they doing? What are they actually doing over there? Get mad. I don't care. This is stupid. Straight dumb. The record before the court establishes that plaintiff Singleton did not obtain a building permit before bringing 2 modular home units into the city. City Ordinance Section 5-61A requires that any person who moves a structure into the city shall first make an application to the city building officials or his/her representative and obtain the required permit. The ordinance further provides that the applicant shall, people think they live out in the woods someplace, I think, out in the country. The applicant shall submit such information as be required to complete the application furnished by the city, including any drawings and specifications needed to clearly show the nature and character of the work for which the application was made. All construction documents that accompanying the application shall be prepared and sealed by an architect or engineer properly licensed within the state of South Carolina. City Ordinance Section 5-61. Plaintiff Singleton contested the citation and was found in violation of the city ordinance after trial. He filed an appeal. Through counsel, negotiated a settlement. Boy, I'll tell you. And in the claim submitted, they lied. And now listen to this. This is a note. This is a note from the judge, from the I guess the judge's note or whatever. This case represents a second instance in which plaintiff Singleton has made a constitutional challenge to the operation of the city's building permit ordinances in Singleton versus City of Georgetown 2021. Plaintiff Singleton asserts claims which closely mirror the allegations asserted in this case. See, plaintiff, he about to get himself in some trouble. Plaintiff Vanderhorst and McCrae, asserted in this case by blah, blah, blah. The court granted defendant summary judgment in the earlier case, rejecting claims of equal protection, excessive fines, unlawful seizure of property, unlawful taking, and First Amendment violations. Plaintiff Singleton asserted in the present action that his claims do not cover those previously litigated issues. Accepting this representation of the plaintiff Singleton's finds that, accepting that, the court finds that he has not asserted in this action claims of equal protection, excessive fines, unlawful seizure, and unlawful taking regarding the city's building permit ordinances. He had sought to assert these claims in this action. They would have been barred by res judicata, that's a legal term there, since plaintiff Singleton did not assert a claim for malicious prosecution in the earlier suit. The court addresses this claim on the merits in this order, which the citation would be withdrawn once the requirement. The sole defendant in this action, the city of Georgetown, initially named various city officials and staffs as defendants in their official capacities. The court earlier granted a motion to dismiss the claims against defendants named in their official capacities as redundant and unnecessary. So they had a bunch of people named in it, so they threw it out because it was redundant and unnecessary. Not that it wasn't relevant. Since the local government unit is a named party in the action, meaning why put those people names in, the city of Georgetown was named. Okay. The legal standard. Summary judgment is appropriate if a party shows that there is no genuine dispute as to any material fact and the movant is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. A dispute is genuine if the evidence offered is such that a reasonable jury might return a verdict. For the non-movant, a fact is material if proof is, a fact is material if proof of its existence or non-existence would affect the disposition of the case under applicable law. So, therefore, summary judgment should be granted only when it is clear that there is no dispute concurring either the facts of controversy or the inferences to be drawn from those facts. That's from Pulliam, some versus Cameo Props, or whatever that is. That's the case that it cites. I know what it is, but in determining whether a genuine issue has been raised, the court must construe all inferences and ambiguities in favor of the non-moving party. Cites a case right there, National whatever. The Health South Rehab Hospital versus the National Red Cross. The MOVAT bears the initial burden of demonstrating that there is no genuine issue of material fact. Once the moving party has made this threshold demonstration, the non-moving party must demonstrate specific material facts exist that give rise to a genuine issue to survive the motion for summary judgment. Under this standard, conclusory or speculative allegations do not suffice, nor does a mere scintillate evidence, I don't know what that term means, I'll look it up in a minute, in support of the non-moving party's case. And it cites some cases there. And then part 3 is discussion, equal protection of the law, equal protection of the law. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment provides that no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. U.S. Constitution amended, Roman numerals there. To succeed on an equal protection claim, a plaintiff must first demonstrate that he has been treated differently from others with whom he is similarly situated, and that the unequal treatment was the result of intentional or purposeful discrimination. I can tell you right now, those claims do not stand up to that. They don't rise to that. Okay. Once this showing is made, the court proceeds to determine whether the disparity in treatment can be justified under the requisite level of scrutiny. Morrison versus Garrity. Okay. The complaint alleged violation of rights under Equal Protection Clause on the basis of the city's ordinance was targeted at the poor with smaller lots on the West End. In their response to defendant's motion for summary judgment, plaintiff asserted that they were attempting to challenge the issues of a permit or the permitting process, but instead were challenging the treatment of African Americans by the city versus others who have been treated as they have. Ridiculous. It's hard to prove. It's impossible to prove something like that. Forget hard. Since the court is obligated to view the record, evidence on summary judgment in light most favorable to the non-moving party, the court will address the plaintiff's equal protection claim as a challenge to disparate treatment based upon race. The record evidence does not remotely support a claim of racial discrimination. This is the court speaking. By the city in its enforcement of its ordinances regarding the issuance of building permits. Plaintiff Vanderhorst identified 2 modular units he believed were owned by white applicants and who were allowed to construct the foundation without a city approved plan sealed by an engineer. The city produced in support of its motion a summary judgment, copies of two permits issued by the city on the modular units referenced by plaintiff Vanderhaus, both including drawings which contained at an engineer's seal. Defendant further included in its motion for summary judgment excerpts for the deposition of multiple city staff members who testified that they never treated anyone differently based on his or her race, and that requirements for building permits were applied equally without regard to race. The court finds the city is entitled to summary judgment of, entitled to summary judgment on its equal protection claim. The absence of evidence of a municipal policy, practice, or custom. A municipality may be held liable for the alleged constitutional violation of its employees only where there is a showing that such actions were in furtherance of the entity's customs or practices, so that it may fairly be said that the unconstitutional act of the city employees represented official policy. Monell versus the Department of Social Service. In their complaint, plaintiffs allege that the city specifically targeted the poor with small lots on the West End in an effort to promote gentrification by imposing fines, denying permits that they did not go and apply for, and requiring expensive upgrades to a rental property so people can be safe to West End property owners. The record, however, contains no evidence to support such an alleged scheme by the city. To the contrary, the evidence shows that the city's housing and community development office enforced various local ordinances, state statutes, and international building codes in a routine and consistent manner across the municipality. Numerous city staff members who worked in the city's housing office testified that they enforced the city's building codes and ordinance uniformly without any regard to race. Only plaintiff Vanderhaus alleged differential treatment based on race, contending the white applications who placed the white applicants, that's what it's supposed to say, who placed mobile units in two specific locations within the city were not required to provide drawings sealed by an engineer. Again, that's that fish fry backwood talk right there, where you just running your mouth and you're talking about, what you think you used to say, oh yeah, they the white folks, they had to go down there and get it. And then you go down there and get your head bust open for being stupid. Because that's just what this is, being stupid and figuring out that I could just do what I want to do because you figure that's what white people do. And that's not a winning formula for nothing. That's what's stagnating the system. That's why real problems, real instances of racial discrimination or class discrimination gets ignored because of frivolous foolishness like this. I ain't write it. They wrote it. There is, after reading it, there is no good spin on this. This is stupidity. With all due respect, the city rebutted the city rebutted the allegations by producing copies of the applications for the two modular units identified by the plaintiff Vanderhals, both attaching drawings sealed by a licensed engineer. In short, plaintiffs have offered no credible evidence supporting a claim that the city had adopted an official policy practicing an official policy, practice, or custom that violated any constitutional right of the plaintiff. To the contrary, records established the records establishes that the city administered its building permit program consistent with existing ordinances, state law, and international building codes without regard to race, wealth, or applicant, or neighborhood of the applicant. In the absence of an official policy, practice, or custom to violate the constitutional right of plaintiff, the city has no liability for any of the claims asserted by plaintiffs in this action. See Monell versus Department of Social Services. Malicious prosecution. And again, they going through all of these claims that these people made here. And I'm just showing you how stupid it is, how utterly ridiculous it is. And I want you to notice here at the bottom of this where it says dismisses this action with prejudice. When they dismiss something with prejudice, that means that's a wrap. That can't ever come back up. You know, get it out of here. Um, and I know they cited that one man for, because again, this is his second time, with a lawsuit like that. Claims, all right, of malicious prosecution. Yeah, I see. I'm my greater point here though, Gaskins, is that when this is the harm that can come when people disengage from the political process, the local political process. This is the harm that can come from that. And so with those fines and again, I can sympathize with what he's saying. You know what I mean? Economically not being able to, you know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between that, because if you're going to have a rental property, then it should be safe, and because you're collecting rent, you know what I mean, or you were collecting rent at some point. But Yeah. So, all right, let me get back to this. All right, malicious prosecution. Okay. Malicious prosecution claim. It is not independent cause of action. Rather, it's I'm reading this to a lawyer. So I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm reading this to a lawyer. So I got you. But I mean, it is what it is. All right, let's get this going. Let's get this finished up here. Malicious prosecution. The claim of malicious prosecution. All right. Malicious prosecution claim is not an independent. Hey, Will, I got a link on there, man. Please, if you would come on, click that link and pop in and kind of help me out with this a little bit. Just give me, some of your thoughts on it. Again, I'm reading it from a perspective of, you know, I'm being really insensitive about a lot of things, and you know, it's intentional mostly. But all right, malicious prosecution claim is not an independent cause of action. Rather, the foundation for this kind of claim is a seizure that violated the Fourth Amendment. Lambert versus Williams. To allege malicious prosecution claim for a seizure vi- violative of the Fourth Amendment, a plaintiff must demonstrate that he was seized pursuant to a legal process that was not supported by probable cause, and that the criminal proceedings against him terminated in his favor. Plaintiff alleges that the city maliciously prosecuted them, the plaintiffs, in violation of the law, requiring excessive requirements under statutes and ordinances that did not exist. Plaintiff Singleton alleges that he was charged with illegally having buildings on his property as a measure of enforcing gentrification. Does Georgetown have a gentrification policy? Do they have a stated policy of gentrification? Enforcing gentrification of the property in the West End in violation of the law. He asserts that these charges were subsequently dismissed, and that's not particularly true. They came to a settlement. I don't know. Is that dismissing charges? Plaintiffs were unable to satisfy on this record either of the threshold requirements for the claim of malicious prosecution. The record establishes that plaintiffs Vanderhoff and Singleton moved modular units into the city without first obtaining building permits, which is where they probably went wrong, as required by city ordinance. Both went to trial, contesting their citations for failure to obtain building permits, and were found after the trial to have violated the city ordinance. Plaintiff Vanderhoff never filed an appeal. Plaintiff Singleton filed an appeal, which was subsequently settled with an agreement with the city to withdraw the citation. So I guess it could say dismissed once he was in compliance. Wow. Plaintiff McCrae was issued a citation for a rental property after the site visit by city building inspector found evidence of holes in the rental property roof, trash cans strategically placed around the unit to capture water entering the structure, and rot damage in the ceiling framing. Additionally, one half of the mobile home did not have functioning electricity, and the fuse box installed without first obtaining was installed a fuse box installed without first obtaining building permit and inspection. In sum, there was clearly probable cause present for the citation issued by the city against the plaintiffs. Further, the proceedings arising out of the building code citation did not terminate in favor of the plaintiffs. Okay. The citation against all three were overturned by subsequent legal challenge. Plaintiff Singleton's citations were withdrawn after he was found in violation of the ordinance in a settlement in which he was required to comply with the ordinance. Since the plaintiffs failed to satisfy either of the threshold requirements for the claim of malicious prosecution, the city is entitled to summary judgment on this claim. Excessive fines, same thing, same thing, same thing. And I mean, we can go into this and get into that. But that's my assessment of it. My assessment is, yeah, Georgetown has, I've been hearing about this with the West End, but I don't think this is the fight. This is the way to fight it. I guess maybe that's the only way they can fight it. I don't know. I know I read it and kind of annoyed me a little bit. Yeah. Just reading the rest of that, what you were saying, it will, and I agree, and that's why when during the runoff, when Ernie Cooper was running against Eric Carolina, all of a sudden in the runoff, the SC Realtor um super PAC, it's a lobbyist group, SC Realtors. They showed up and started dumping money behind him. And then when I did a little bit more research, the whole town city is but that again, man, a lot of this stuff is you can see it coming. So let's see what we got. Sounds like eminent. No, that wasn't eminent domain. That was a bad strategy. A bad strategy. That's what that was. And that's the thing about the whole argument of gentrification. It's just like when you start making these arguments, you better have some proof. You better have some proof. And so now that's the second time that Mr. What was the other guy's name in this lawsuit? That's the second time that Mr. Get up into the top. Second time that Mr. Singleton has brought up a lawsuit that has been pretty much thrown out on his head. So how many more times is he going to do that? And it's just, again, that argument is, that's not the argument. That's not the argument. That's why I feel so strongly about the case with the town hall of Andrews, because it's not a racial thing. I mean, we could get into that, I mean, because just where it doesn't matter, that may be the case, but where it actually matters at in the courtroom, as far as this document is concerned, which is the ordinance, that's where, that's where I'm staking my argument at. All that other stuff is sometimes is it's just not the best argument. It's just not the best argument. It's really not. Because if they truly go by this document right here, and I need to do the same thing I just did for well, after March 17th, I'll do that for that court case to see where it all is, how this falls. And that means that they had to interview all of those workers. They had to do, it's just a bunch of time, man. And that's why these conversations, like on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, you need to go back and check out the show from this past Tuesday. We had Dr. Sabrina Williams on, and it's just land and building wealth and doing things the right way. Because again, we cannot continually fall out. We know how things were designed. We cannot go back in a time machine and change it. But the information is available, the tools are available for us to do what we need to do moving forward. You cannot go back and rewrite history. Don't try. I was in when we were in Augusta last weekend, went and had a burger, right? And I was showing the young lady some of the drone footage that I got of I guess it's a Confederate monument that's in the middle of town. Young white lady, and she obviously woke. She was like, yeah, this and that. And I'm just like, I wasn't alive 200 years ago. You know what I mean? I just wasn't. So I don't know how to have the emotional connection as if I was back then. That's not. I don't know how to do that. Maybe it's more so I refuse to do that. I mean, what was the purpose of their struggle back then if we're gonna continue to, if it's just not the best argument, in my humble opinion, or not so humble opinion. The courts are set up a specific way, and you can't go in the court arguing what you feel, what you think is right. Sounds good, makes for a good movie, but not a good movement. So that's my take. I know you didn't ask me for it, but hey, That is my take. And I thank you for hanging in there listening to it. I'm out.